How do you define success? Maybe it's making $1 million a year. Maybe it's just having $1 million in the bank, or maybe it doesn't have to do with money at all. It could just be being able to go to your kid's game every Saturday. You see, success comes in a lot of different forms and ways. What you define as success, I might not, and vice versa. What's up, guys? My name is Mateo Hall, and the other day I was in one of the most exciting places in the world, the DMV. You see, so I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna make the most out of my time here? I have to sit here for the next 2 hours waiting for my number to be called, and so I started talking to people. Now, talking to strangers is something that most of us aren't great at, and I came in cold off all of these conversations, trying to ask them about their personal life, their finances, and success. So it was more or less successful. But I did get some fairly interesting answers from them, all the way from ranging from their quality of life to how much they're making a year and what their secret to happiness and success really is. But before we get into things, I want you to leave a comment down below. What do you define success as? And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So let's hop right into this. Now, the first person I talked to, funnily enough, was another real estate agent. They made $100,000 last year, but had to spend $20,000 in expenses, so really they're making about $80,000. And they said that they were really happy with what they've done. They've been in real estate for a while, and they were much happier once they actually became a real estate agent as opposed to being in management, which they were before. And their happiness to success is just to be passionate about what you do. You know, it's the classic saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That seems pretty good to me, right? Or maybe it's just because they're making $80,000. So we can jump over to the stay-at-home mom who made around $50,000 last year running this daycare. So the third generation of running this daycare. She's been wanting to work with children her entire life and absolutely loves it. Her secret to success was just be a good person. By being a good person, good energy is going to be coming back to you. Everything you throw out into the world is coming right back at you. But then I noticed that even people that are doing what they love aren't always very successful and have a high quality of life. There's this Tesla employee that I met. He was making $40,000 when he was just a little kid. He wanted to do this like Formula One racing, and he was super into all of that. And as he started to grow up, he realized, all right, maybe that isn't as realistic as it seems, so I just want to work on cars. So he became a mechanic, he went to college and he got his degree, and now he's working over at Tesla, making a little over $40,000 a year, but he said his life's really just kind of stagnated at this point. He wants to be going for something bigger and better, but he doesn't know where to go from here. He says that his whole secret to success, if you could call it that, is to not be afraid of failure and just keep going on through life, but he hasn't been following his own advice, unfortunately. Now, we can look at the other side of the spectrum now. There's this woman that I was talking to. She made $50,000 to $60,000 last year, working in Pilates. She never thought that she'd be doing something like this in her entire life. I mean, she came from the corporate world where she was doing finances and really just being an overblown assistant, until she ended up hurting her back, and then she realized, wow, this kind of sucks. I can't be sitting around at a desk all day. I want to be doing something better. I need to be making my back a little bit stronger. She started doing Pilates, and eventually she founded her own Pilates studio, helping other people heal and healing from herself. Eventually she quit that administrative executive job, and now she absolutely loves what she does. Now, her secret to success wasn't necessarily just doing what you love and everything will be fine, but self-acceptance of realizing where you are in life and not having to push past any of that. Now, I just want to talk about one last person. This guy, he was tatted up from the neck down, okay? It was a little intimidating. He sat right next to, when I was talking to the real estate agent, he was right behind there. I saw him like looking behind, staring at me every now and then. I was debating whether or not to go talk to him, but eventually I realized my number is about to be called. You know what, I'm gonna go up to this guy, I'm gonna talk to him, we're gonna see what's happening. Go up to this man, I say, hey, do you care if I ask you a couple of uncomfortable questions? That's how I started all of these conversations. And he lets out this soft little chuckle, he's like, yeah, alright, go ahead. And I ask, my next question was, how much did you make last year? And he looks me dead in the eyes and he says $150,000. Now I'm taken back here for a second because that's the biggest number that anyone has said so far. And he gets a small little smile on his face. He's a lot bigger than that real estate agent that you were talking to earlier, isn't it? And I'm thinking, well, yeah. Well, honestly, it is. Now, he claims that that real estate agent probably made even less than he was saying. That real estate agent was dressed up nice in a suit. This guy, he has a hoodie on. He has neck tattoos. I think I saw some on his forearm, too. He looked amazing. He was very confident in his own skin. I asked him, how do you make $150,000 last year? And this man that I was talking to says he was a hairdresser. Again, coming from a family of hairdressers, but he'd always wanted to do this his entire life. He was conditioned from his parents and their parents before them, so it's something that he knew he was going to be getting into really from birth. Now, my first instinct was to think, okay, how do you make $150,000 as a hairdresser? He has to be doing like 80 hours or something. So I asked him, and 3 12-hour shifts is the answer. Now, 12-hour shifts are nothing to scoff at. Anyone that works in the medical industry, I'm sure you know that. But with 3 12-hour shifts making $150,000, that's impressive. So I end up talking to this man about business advice and life advice up until the very end when my number is called. Reference, if I spent 1 minute with everyone else, I spent probably 5 times as long with him. Now, this hairdresser claimed to work with a couple of billionaire clients up in Beverly Hills and some actual sharks in there. And he gave some pretty good life and business advice in general, just saying, you know what, if someone doesn't care about your success, why are you listening to them to begin with? People that aren't there for you shouldn't be the one criticizing you. You need to be focusing on your one thing in order to be getting better, and all of these kind of more in-depth to the cliches of business advice. Now, he's the one that really got my brain thinking of what does success and happiness really mean, because I asked him, what was your secret to happiness and success? And he just kind of pauses and says, well, those are 2 completely different questions. I need you to be a little bit more specific. Now, his secret to happiness throughout life is doing what he loves, starting up his own business, being an entrepreneur, and doing his own thing. His secret to success was not listening to all of the haters that aren't giving encouragement, but actually just saying, hey, you messed up on this. Why are you doing this? Go make something of your life instead. And unfortunately, after that, our conversation was cut short. I didn't even get this man's name, unfortunately, but now, I'm never going to forget this man, though, that if you saw him on the streets, you would think he's making, $40,000 to $60,000 a year, your average Joe, but that's because he doesn't care what you think, because he's focusing on himself. Now, within the next week or so, I'm also going to be posting an interview with Dina Lopez, who is a real estate agent in my office, and I think has really figured out the secret to success herself. Now, I have to pose the question over to you guys. You're watching a channel that's based off of personal finance, business development, and all of the other things, whatever you really want to define it as. What is success in your life? Do you have to hit a certain dollar amount? Are you going to be that real estate agent who makes $100,000 a year and he's just kind of cruising through life, whatever? Honestly, he didn't seem that happy to me. Are you going to be that hairdresser who's making $150,000 that absolutely loves what they're doing? Or maybe you'll be on the other side of the spectrum. The stay-at-home mom who just loves interacting with kids. $50,000. It barely even feels like work, even though you're working for so long, because you love what you're doing. Now, when I first started my financial journey, I imagined success as having $1 million in my investment account. There's the rule of 4%, which says that you can live off of 4% of your investment portfolio pretty much until the end of time without ever running out of money. So I'm thinking, if I have $1 million invested, then I can live off $40,000 for the rest of my life. That doesn't seem too hard. I mean, college kids are out there living on $23,000, right? But now I have to think about it a little bit more. You see, what does that $1 million in the bank account really represent? What does it mean to have that $1 million, that $40,000 that's coming in every single month? It's not the money that makes everything successful. It's the freedom, I think. Now, my definition of success has changed slightly. I still think success is financial freedom, but not just because I'm rich and greedy and want to have a ton of money and don't care about anything, but because I want to be able to value the little things in life. You see, if you had $50,000 coming into your pocket every single year and you didn't have to go out and work 40 hours a week for it, then you could be doing all of the things that you love. You see, all throughout high school, I did theater and acting, and I absolutely loved it. I'd love to get back into that eventually. But right now, financially, I'm not able to. I want to travel the world. On the other side of this wall, there is this map. You probably saw it in one of my older videos. It's this scratch-off map of the entire world. I want to be able to scratch off every single country and just travel. The financial freedom to say, oh, yes, sweetheart, I'm able to go to your softball game because I don't have to be over in the office working today. To be able to say, yes, darling, let's go out to dinner. You know, it's your birthday. I know you love sushi. We're getting all you can eat. And we don't have to worry about having to pay rent and the bills and everything like that. See, when I'm talking about financial freedom, I'm not talking about buying a Bugatti and a Lamborghini or even a yacht, dismantling a bridge for several $100 million just to be able to take my place through there. What I want to do is to be able to sit down with my kids one day and be able to actually have fun with them, to love them, to be able to go to their plays, their soccer games, their little league games, to let them have fun, to be kids, and to have a present father there for them. I want to not have to worry about paying my rent or mortgage every single month and just be able to enjoy life. Yes, I'm still going to be working, but not having to be tied to your work, anchored into something that you just can't escape. That's what's really important to me, I think. There are so many successful people out there that are putting in 50, 60 hours a week just in order to live that successful lifestyle. You think of those traditional Wall Street suits that they're making millions of dollars, but are they really happy? Are they present in their child's life? Unfortunately, a lot of the time the answer to that is no. So, yet again, I'll throw the question back over to you guys. What do you define as success?